From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week. Thanks so much for tuning us in. We're ecstatic you're part of the show. Mm-hmm. And we've got two guests coming up this week. So a little bit of a condensed opening segment. We'll get right into it. Minnesota Twins sputtering out of the gate a bit.
Fair to say.
But there have been some bright spots. Do you have any early takeaways on what is still a very small sample size?
Well, small sample size describes their attendance thus far. I mean,
how about Ghost Town?
Yeah, I just can't believe how few people are showing up. I mean, I knew that they were going to struggle this part of the season. But, I mean, you probably literally could have counted the people in the stands for a handful of these games other than opening day. And I'm surprised that they got such a great crowd on opening day because that was really a weather disaster. I mean, they had the rain, they had the cold, they had the power outage. I mean, it was just bad all around. But they won the baseball game, so I'll give them credit for that. But attendance-wise, it's been rough. Baseball-wise, kind of what I expected. I think that they'll be better than people give them credit for. I don't think that they're going to be a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that they can hit. It's just going to be that bullpen. If that bullpen can do something, they'll hang around, maybe threaten 500.
Last season, before they tore it down, before that liquidation, they had one of the better bullpens in Major League Baseball.
They did.
And, that's gone with the wind. Now you have all these new guys coming in trying to prove they belong. And this is an opportunity for all these young guys, new faces. The bullpens look good on some occasions. On Monday night against Detroit, able to close it out after Joe Ryan went 5 innings. And then there were meltdown games, such as I was at Sunday's, the Easter Sunday game when it was 1-1 going into the 10th, and then they give up 3. And goodbye, solid start for Simeon Woods Richardson because the pen couldn't make it stand up. So it could be a year with turbulence. They are in the AL Central. I still don't think there's a dominant team. I do like Detroit. I like your Cleveland Guardians. They're scrappy. But one thing we know about the Guardians, when you get to the end of July, they're not going to make any additions. They're not going to go out and get some power pitcher or some slugger to get him over the hump. So the Twins, if you can just stay in this thing, might have a shot.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I just hope that they start getting people to come out to the ballpark because they have just struggled mightily. I mean, the photos you and I took, boy, Monday night and you were there over the weekend, not great.
I think the Saturday game I was at, there couldn't have been more than 5K in the house.
I thought 500, but maybe you're right.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. All right, stick around. More to come. 10K Takes, your Twins ticket.
Life moves fast, but when that Freddy's hits, you can't help but slow down. Freddy's, this is the good stuff. Freddy's new Hot Honey menu is love at first trip. It'll leave you burning for more.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Let your adventure begin in Lakeville, Minnesota. We have over 90 places to grab a bite to eat, and we're close to the Mall of America, Valley Fair, and the Minnesota Zoo, plus hotel packages and great rates. Visit Lakeville. We're serious about fun all year round.
Welcome back. Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes. I'm going to talk some more baseball right now. We're joined by a former Twin who roamed center field for the Twins a few years back, our friend Denard Span, who, of course, works on the television broadcast for the Twins, among others, this season. Denard, let's start with the 2026 version of the Twins. Scuffling a little bit coming out of the gate. I mean, it's early and all that stuff. But from afar, what you've seen so far, what do you like? What are you concerned about?
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, I mean, the season just started. A week into the season. I think guys are still trying to get their legs underneath them. The weather has obviously played a factor. Them coming out of spring training where it was warm. But I look at the roster and it's definitely a shakeup and a mix up from what they had last year. They had a little bit more experience last year, but I don't know, man. There's something, something about, this ball club that I look and I see. I have a feeling that they're going to, be able to sneak up on some teams. I'm not saying they're going to, win the World Series or maybe they won't even make the playoffs. But I think they kind of remind me of like the way the Tampa Bay Rays construct a team, where you have a lot of youth and athletic ability, pretty much around the diamond. And they throw the ball pretty well. You saw last night Joe Ryan; he kind of had a little bit of a hiccup, but he's going to be, his numbers are going to be where they normally are by the time the season's over with. Sim, he looked like he's taking a step forward and ready to take a challenge, and move forward this season. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that once again that they're a team like the Rays, what we've seen in the past, as well as a team like even like the Chicago Cubs before they won the World Series, where they were kind of in the rebuild mode. But then they found out, who they had on their roster before they started adding some big pieces. And so that's what I see. I don't know if I all the way answered your question, but I think there's probably going to be some parts in the season where there's some growing pains. But I think ultimately, I think this season, when you look back, is going to be a positive season for the Twins organization.
Let me throw out two names, Denard, two young guys. I'm sure you're very familiar with Taj Bradley, who came over from Tampa Bay last July in the fire sale, Griffin Jack deal, and then Luke Keyshaw, who seems to check a lot of boxes as far as offensive ability, defensive talent, hustle, all that stuff. Your thoughts on Bradley and then Keyshaw?
Taj Bradley, I mean, I got excited when the Twins traded for him. I know he had been scuffling, last season with the Rays, but the previous two seasons, like you could argue, he was one of their top starters, and prior to that, he was one of the top minor leaguers in all of baseball, and so his ceiling, in my opinion, is very high, and his potential sky's the limits. It's just about whether or not Pete Mackey and that pitching department can get him dialed in and locked in, because the talent is definitely there. But yeah, I think he's going to benefit from a change of scenery. I think that's kind of what happened with the Rays. He that was a team that he was drafted by, and I think every player kind of goes through that at some point in their career, where sometimes it's the relationship has ran its course, and I think the potential for him is, like I said, sky's the limits. Luke Keyshaw, he's a guy that impacts the game in so many different ways. You're talking about speed, athleticism. We saw him with the power last night. He had a big 2-run home run, for the Twins. And defensively, he's solid over there at second base. And so I remember last year when he first came up, the impact that he made right away, it was evident, because shortly after that he got hurt, and it just seemed like the lineup was not the same, because he gets on base, he's a threat to steal, similar to obviously Buxton, but that goes into the athleticism that I was talking about a little bit ago as well.
All right, since you bring up Byron Buxton, I'll ask you about him. 10 seasons in the major leagues now. Here's a guy that plays your position, center field, and had maybe, I think you could argue, he had his best season as a pro last year. He was healthy finally, years into his career. He finally had an end-to-end season where he was relatively healthy. What are you seeing from Byron that you think makes this a year where he can even go further than that, and maybe take it one step further than we saw last year?
I think the confidence that he built last season, getting through an entire season without being on the injured list for an extended period of time. And, even at his age, people talk about his age, and yeah, he's obviously older, but, those injuries that he had years prior, he wasn't on the field. So he didn't have the same wear and tear, in my opinion, that, was he 32, 33? You could probably shave off at least 1 or 2 years off of that, because he was nursing injuries, and so I think between that and the confidence that he built last season, showing and proving to himself, I still can play this game at a high level. As long as I'm healthy and continue with the regimen and the routines that he had last season. I'm hoping that he's found something with his body, whether it's diet or staying in the gym with strength and conditioning. I'm hoping that he has found that at this point of his career, and so that he can have a tremendous second part of his career.
Yeah, and certainly Byron's made some acrobatic plays in center field. You did the same when you played. Nobody was better than Spider-Man, Torrey Hunter. But I got to get your take on what Joe Adell did the other night out in Anaheim. 3 home run robbing catches against Seattle. The third one tumbling over that short wall in right field before the foul pole, saving the game for the Los Angeles Angels. Have you ever seen a defensive performance like that? And Torrey said it was the greatest he'd ever seen.
You know what? I'm embarrassed to say this. I heard about what you're talking about, but I didn't see any of the plays. So
Google it.
But the way that it was described to me, that he robbed 3 home runs, I don't think I've ever seen that. Without seeing the play, I've never seen a guy rob 3 home runs in one game.
Yeah. You need to. You'll appreciate it. And I believe he's got leads MLB in the last few years in home run robs with Kyle Tucker. So,
all right.
I know he's an athletic guy. I mean, that was one of the things when he first got drafted that scouts and teams drooled over was his ability to do everything, which we're seeing now. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Wally.
That's okay. I'm going to cut you off now. How's that? I want to ask you about the ABS, the automatic balls and strikes, that we've seen now in the major leagues for the first part of the season. Obviously, it was in the minors. It was in spring training the last couple of years. Do you like it so far from what you've seen? And has it become like a strategic point in the game as well? Because you don't want to use it too early because you may need it late type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do like it. I mean, everything else has been, we're doing replay on. Like every other part of the game, that there's some sort of technology that has, been implemented into the game or affecting the game. And ultimately, I think it's just about getting the right call when it's all said and done. These guys, that are playing on the field, they put it on the line. They work their butts off to try to be as successful as possible. Obviously, the umpires, they're doing the best that they can. They're the best in the world, but, they're human. And so when the game's on the line, you want to get the right call. But, from a strategy standpoint, I haven't figured it out. Like, if I was managing, I don't know how I would, tell my players, all right, this is how we're going to do this. Because you're right. I've seen guys, blow the load, if you will, in the first couple of innings and get it wrong. And then late in the game, that comes back to bite them. So maybe it could be a situational thing. Maybe when the guy's in scoring position, depending on the outs, that's probably what I could see it settling in on. And maybe certain players, certain players, certain situations, it making sense to challenge.
All right, Denard, we have just a few seconds left. You are down there in the Tampa-St. Pete area. How excited are they to have Tropicana Field with the new roof, the Rays?
Yeah, well, I took my kids there yesterday. It was opening day for the Rays, and it was nice to be back there. It really was, especially after the catastrophe that happened a couple years ago with the hurricane. But it was nice. It felt a little weird, but it was nice. It was a nice moment. They did a nice tribute on the big scoreboard, talking about the renovation and just the journey to get it back to where it is now. But I'm glad to see they're back home in their stadium.
Denard, we appreciate it. I'm sure we'll see you during the season. We'll see you on the tube, if nothing else. But hopefully we'll catch you at Target Field once or twice this year as well. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I look forward to seeing you guys. I appreciate you as always.
Take care, Denard.
Denard Span, former Minnesota Twins great, joining us here on 10,000 Takes. Eric and I will be back with more after this. Stay with us.
Get in the game at St. Croix Casinos in Turtle Lake, Danbury, and Hertel, Wisconsin, your local destination for sports betting. Check out our sportsbook at St. Croix Casinos. From football and soccer to hockey and UFC, you can join the non-stop action. You'll find plenty of options to bet on with our cutting-edge Play Sports kiosks, whether placing live or prop wagers before tuning into the game. That's the book at Turtle Lake, the Red Zone at Danbury, and our sports betting kiosk at Hertel. Find your fortune at St. Croix Casinos.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
Life moves pretty fast, but not at Freddy's. When that first bite hits, you can't help but slow down. The secret to quality time is just quality and time. That's Freddy's.
Mom, what's wrong with them?
That's called quality time. Don't stare.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 Takes rolls along, and there is a University of Minnesota team that is in the Great Eight, if you will. It is the women's gymnastics team, and we are joined now by Gianna Gerdes, and she is one of several Gophers that will be participating in nationals. That is going to be in Texas, not this weekend, but next weekend. First of all, Gianna, I've got to ask you this because I know you stepped away for a year. You were at the U of M. You had 4 years in the books, but you were granted a fifth year because of COVID, I believe. So you're a fifth-year senior, but you stepped away for a year and then came back for this season. Was it because you knew this team had a really good chance, or were there some other things that figured into your decision to come back?
Definitely a little bit of both. I think this team is something so special to me and has always had that potential of going to nationals. Of course, to me, it's a lot more than just that. There's this culture that is unlike anything else, and these values that are so prominent and unmatched. And it's just overall a very prestigious program and a one-of-a-kind, once-in-a-lifetime experience. So passing up an opportunity to return to that is not something I could have, I think, lived with. So that was definitely part of it. But as soon as I did make the decision to come back and was like coming to this team, meeting all the new girls and reuniting some of my old teammates and some of my old coaches, but also kind of stepping onto a team with a new coaching staff and this like rebuilding year, I definitely felt something that I haven't felt before with this team. And as training started and continued throughout the season, that feeling just grew really, really strong. And this felt so doable and so possible. We set our mind to it right from the beginning and worked our way here. And it was really, really awesome. It's shocking and as amazing as it was. I'm not surprised at all. I will say that.
Wow.
All right. So you're a multi-talented gymnast, but you do have a lot of, routines related to floor and also other stuff in gymnastics. Tell us about your work and your preparation behind the scenes. I know gymnastics is one of those sports where you got to grind, you got to put in the time so you're ready to go when it's meet time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It was kind of funky for me because taking a year off and then coming back is not something I was used to. This, like you said, this sport is one that kind of is full go all the time, even in the summer. And especially preseason, we're always working and trying to dial in on those details. So come competition season, we can just lock in and stay steady and get that like slow progression. We call it our climb. So for me, it was a little bit different because I took a whole year off basically of not really training gymnastics at all, but stepping back into the gym with my team right from the start. Things felt familiar. We were ready to go for preseason. It was definitely more intense during the preseason, getting ourselves strong and ready to go. And then it kind of like settles into this routine, this locked in mindset, and this consistent competition week. So that's kind of most of it. But for me, I've been training all 4 events since I came back in September, and have been doing full routines, I think around December, November time on all 4 events. And all of us have just been putting in the work since January. And now here we are.
Your favorite event, your strongest event is what and why?
Ooh, I feel like favorite and strongest might depend. My favorite has always been bars. I definitely have grown to love it a lot more this year, just kind of stepping back into like relearning some of the basics a little bit, because taking a year off lost those a little. So trying to focus on those little details to help my skills has actually been a fun challenge for me. And I feel like my gymnastics has improved because of that. And that goes for all the other events as well. So bars is definitely my favorite. Maybe sort of my best. I'm not sure. I think vault this year has really been something that I personally think I've shown out and improved a lot in comparison to past years that I've been on the team. And training wise, I'm very impressed with myself on the beam and the floor as well. But vault and bars, the 2 that I'm more actively competing, I definitely feel pretty strongly about those 2.
Okay. The Olympics, Los Angeles 2028, a little over 2 years away. When you look at the current GOATs of gymnastics, it has to be Suni Lee, who's from the Twin Cities, and then Simone Biles has been absolutely lights out. Do you pattern any of your stuff after those 2 fantastic athletes?
I'm not so sure about that. They are just built different for sure. I actually have had the chance to meet Suni Lee, and my freshman year, she was around campus a little bit during that time. So I got to like hang out with her a few times, and she was just this light. I've never met Simone Biles, but just judging by her gymnastics and her presence, she seems to be a light in the world of gymnastics as well. And I think that's something that myself and my other teammates definitely fall into the same category with them. Just this personality, this passion, and just love for the community of gymnastics, the sport of gymnastics, and everything that goes into it. And I would say that our program is definitely unique. Obviously, I don't know much about others, so maybe I'm biased, but we're just unique. We just have that it. And I was really excited to see it show through this season, especially here at the end, making it to nationals.
All right. Last question for you, and quick answer if you could.
Okay.
You were with the team, Nationals 2022. Are you able to impart some of the wisdom you gained from being as part of that team that went to Nationals 4 years ago to your current teammates who have never been?
I'd say yes, I can a little bit, but I also think that this year, the way we've gone about it, and like I was saying, how unique this team is, I think figuring it out together and just staying true to who we've become and who we can be when it comes time to compete on the national stage, I think that's really going to be the best advice for us to take. But any other advice would just be to leave it all out there. We got everything to gain, nothing to lose, and it's ours if we want to take it. So just going out there and doing us, and that's all we can do.
Well, Gianna, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Good luck at Nationals in Texas, and hopefully you come home with some more accolades.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
this
Gianna.
was fun.
All
yeah,
right.
of course.
She is Gianna Gerdes. She is a senior, a fifth-year senior for the Golden Gopher women's gymnastics team. They are headed to Nationals next weekend. Stay with us. More to come here on 10,000 Takes after this timeout.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Get in the game at St. Croix Casinos in Turtle Lake, Danbury, and Hertel, Wisconsin, your local destination for sports betting. Check out our sportsbook at St. Croix Casinos. From football and soccer to hockey and UFC, you can join the non-stop action. You'll find plenty of options to bet on with our cutting-edge Play Sports kiosks, whether placing live or prop wagers before tuning into the game. That's the book at Turtle Lake, the Red Zone at Danbury, and our sports betting kiosk at Hertel. Find your fortune at St. Croix Casinos.
Hey, get your sports fix. By tuning in to 10K Takes, we cover all the Minnesota teams.
Vikings, Twins, Wild, Gophers, you name it. Fox 9 Plus and the Fox Local app.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Big shout out to the viewers in the Twin Ports, here in the Twin Cities, Med City, Rochester. We're everywhere in the North Star State.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
And they want to know what your mood is. Mm-hmm. Angry, demanding, cranky, dare I say it, happy? What is it today?
Well, spring has sprung, kind of, sort of, as we have witnessed the Minnesota Twins playing in some obscene weather, if you will, cold, rainy, windy, you name it, and it's been bad. Well, how about high school baseball players and high school softball players? I hate to have to go down this path again, but Minnesota State High School League, it is time to switch it up. Here's a plan. Take the baseball season and or the girls softball season, whichever you choose, or both preferably, move it to the fall. Start it in mid-August. Let it run its course through the end of August, through September. Have your playoffs in early October and end it there. Nobody wants to take ground balls in the gym. Nobody wants to watch baseball or softball when it's 30 degrees out and sleeting or snowing or raining and it's muddy and the snow is still on the ground, and on it goes. Move it to the fall. They'd be all warmed up. You don't need any warm-up time at the beginning of the season. They'll be playing baseball and softball all summer. So get a move on it, State High School League. Other states have done it. It's time now for Minnesota to do it too, particularly for the 4A schools, the big schools. You got enough kids. Do it.
Let's check that mood meter.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Demanding diva.
As usual.
I know the Blaine Bengals and Champlain Park Rebels actually took a spring trip to Tampa.
Yeah,
just to get some action in.
Exactly. Yeah. Why? They don't have to spend all that money. It's stupid.
Well, all right, but some kids do play baseball and football, so you might have an issue there.
Well, too bad.
Wow. All right. Well, my take of the day, Mr. Sympathetic over here. Okay, we all know A-Rod, Mark Laurie,
yes.
The Timberwolves. They want a new playpen. Don't know for sure if they want public funding or if they're going to reach into their deep pockets and pay for it themselves. They do have Michael Bloomberg as part of their ownership portfolio, and he's a billionaire many times over. But they want a new arena, so we'll see how that goes. But one thing I'm not worried about is them playing the relocation card, because the next two cities up for the NBA have to be Seattle and Las Vegas. And the expansion fees for Seattle and Vegas, the association is going to milk this. $7 to $10 billion. That's B with a billion. So you think the NBA would let Minnesota move to one of those cities? And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't think it will. But this is why it won't. Those owners want the $7 to $10 billion they'll get so Vegas and Seattle can have new expansion teams. So I think this Timberwolves team's going to be here.
Oh, they're going to be here. I hope they move to the East. That's the big thing.
That'll happen.
Okay.
I looked in my NBA crystal ball. That's going to happen. All right, we got to go. Thanks so much for tuning us in. We are 10K Takes, your sports ticket.